Okay, good evening. The Eastham Conservation Commission will hold a hybrid public meeting on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 at 6 p.m. pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, Open Meeting Law, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 155 of the Code of the Town of Eastham, Eastham Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Before we start, this meeting is being broadcast on Public Access Channel 8 and streamed on the town website at www.eastham and www.eastham-ma.org and on YouTube. It will be rebroadcast on Channel 8 and meeting videos will be available on YouTube. Before we begin, a quick reminder. While our meetings are relatively informal, the Commission uses a simplified version of Robert's Rules. The chair runs the meeting, and everyone should speak through the chair after being recognized. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. We allow discussion between commissioners, staff, and applicants, and may extend that to abutters. For NOIs and RDAs, the applicant will present first, usually, followed by discussion with the Commission and staff. Once Commission questions have slowed, abutters will have a chance to speak, followed by other members of the public as time allows. The chair may set time limits if needed. Please keep your microphone muted unless it is your turn to speak, and let the chair know if you plan to record the meeting. Most importantly, please be respectful of others so we can keep the meeting productive and focused. Okay, I'm going to take attendance and then we can start. Janet Benjamin?
Here.
Joanne Cossett is not joining us tonight. Greg Douglas?
Here.
Mike Rivers?
Here.
Okay. Cinnamon Swabble?
Here.
Chuck Wagner?
Here.
And Karen Strauss, I am here as well. First up on our agenda is our public comment period. This is to allow anybody who wants to make any short comments or before the meeting on items not on the agenda. If anybody would like to do that, if they could make themselves known. Okay. And seeing no one, first up on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability filed by Stephen and Pam Perkowski. Applicant proposes to construct an addition to the existing house at property located at 515 Campground Road, map 07, parcel 362. And who's here to speak on this?
Jason Ellis.
Good evening, Jason, if you would like to.
So Stephen and Pam Perkowski, they're proposing to put an addition onto the back of their existing house on 515 Campground Road. It's a 16 by 22 foot addition. And they're also looking to basically double the size of the screen porch, which would be 8 by 22. There is an existing Title V on the property. We went to Board of Health a couple weeks ago, and they required us to retrofit the septic system with an alternative septic system with a nitrogen removing system. So the septic system that's there is a conventional Title V, and we're going to be adding an Orenco Advantex to that for the nitrogen removal. So we're looking to install. We're going to retrofit the existing tank. So we're going to leave the existing 1,500 gallon septic tank, and then the pump chamber will become a recirculating chamber. We'll be installing the Orenco pod up again. So we have to do that with some elevation. So that'll be built up adjacent to the concrete wall where the leach field is. And then there'll be a separate pump vault which discharges up to the leach field that will need to be installed. So the only new components for the septic would be the Orenco pod and the discharge pump vault. And then we have the addition. The only resource area that we're in the 100-foot buffer zone to the flood zone. We're all well outside the 100-foot buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetland that's to the south of the property. So it's just within the buffer zone to the flood zone. It's all lawn area where the disturbance will be. That would just be returned back to lawn area. So it's pretty simple project. And if you have any questions, be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So,
Yep.
Mike and I were out for site visits this morning, and I'm gonna ask Mike to just go over what he observed on the site. You need to unmute, Mike.
There we go. Jason, thanks for marking the site so clearly.
Sure.
It was very clear. The 100-foot buffer zone was outside of what you're planning on doing. And we saw a very flat area next to the house. It was very easy to see where the addition would be next to it. The ground cover was grass, and I assume you'll be replacing that with something like that.
Yep.
Any questions, Mike?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Greg?
I just had a quick question. What kind of maintenance is required for that system? And like, is it every 6 months? And how do you know when to do it?
Yeah, so currently the house is actually used just seasonally in the summer, but the Perkowskis they're planning on retiring this year, and that's what's facilitated the addition. Is they're going to move here, retire, and move here full time. So this house will actually be used year round now. So in a situation where the septic system would be used year round, they would have to test that system quarterly. So they'd have to contract with a licensed wastewater treatment plant operator to test that every 3 months. And that information gets sent to the health department and to the Barnstable County database.
Thank you. And that's written into the agreement, right?
Yeah, they have that actually gets that. There's actually a deed recording that goes on from the Board of Health. They actually have it actually gets recorded on the deed that maintenance has to be done throughout the life of the system. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Okay, and I have no questions either. It seemed like a very easy installation with very low impact. So if we could have a motion for a determination of a positive 2A, the boundary delineations are referenced on the plan are confirmed as accurate, and a -3, work is within the buffer zone and does not require a filing of a notice of intent, plus the special conditions for septic and sewage upgrades.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second,
Okay, Janet,
yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Okay, thank you, Jason.
thank you, everyone.
Next, we have a continuation of request for determination of applicability filed by Gail Badukian. Applicant proposes to flush cut 23 invasive Japanese black pine trees and planting beach grass at property located at 18 Horton Way, map 07, parcel 493A, and the applicant has requested a continuation until January 13th, 2026. So if somebody would like to make that motion.
Move to continue to January 13th, 2026.
And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, next we have certificate of compliance. So we have 3 filings for the same property. I'm going to open them each separately. We have a certificate of compliance filed by Joan V. Scott for SE 19-782 for the maintenance and repair of a stone revetment, refill, and revegetate coastal bank as necessary at property located at 49 Longstreet Lane, map 10, parcel 343. And hi, Tim.
Well,
Nice
good
to see you.
afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
A long while. If you want to just
Right.
run through real quickly what you're asking for here?
So this is an area, Longstreet Lane, 49 Longstreet Lane. There's a stone revetment and stairways at the property. Over the years, there's been several orders of conditions issued for various reasons and extended at various times for maintenance. At this time, the owners are aware that the Conservation Commission is issuing certificates of compliance with ongoing conditions. And so that's what we're doing. The first one is the oldest one. And I think in that, I don't have the paperwork for me with that one. I think in that one, I know that was a request for work on a stone revetment and maintenance of that revetment. And I think that this is the one that I noted that the wording of the order of conditions for the original approval for the order for maintenance was kind of a wordy old order, and I'd like to have that upgraded if we could. And that's in my cover letter to you regarding this early filing.
So I'm just going to note that in a certificate of compliance request, we are just reviewing whether the project is in compliance with the original order of conditions. Any plan change requests really can't be considered during a certificate of compliance review and would require the filing of a request for an amended order of conditions.
Okay, so we're not
before we
asking,
consider the COC.
okay, not asking to revise the plan in any way, simply asking that the continuation of the special conditions
sorry.
that allow maintenance be reworded from what was
Okay,
approved years ago.
I misspoke that you would need to apply for an amended order of conditions, not
Okay,
a plan
if that's
change.
the case, we'd like to request a certificate of compliance with the existing special condition as it is.
Okay. All right. So we were out there for a site visit, and I can't get down to the beach. And Mike took a look, and I think he's just going to go through that for us, and that'll apply to all three of the obviously all three of the filings.
Yeah, and that's the case. The order of conditions is from 2011. And so I did go down to the beach, walk down the stairs. Stairs are in good repair. The revetment had recent nourishment, so it was actually very difficult for me to appreciate the status of the stones, the footing stones. One thing that I noticed was if you're looking at the revetment, if you are to the far left side, there's an area of excavation between this existing revetment and another revetment, which is about 20 feet farther out toward the water. Other than that, there are two very cleanly delineated large masses of sand with rocks underneath, and that's about all I could see. The stairs themselves actually don't have a revetment behind them, and there seemed to be a small amount of excavation there as well. That's all I observed.
Okay. Excavation meaning scour.
Scour, yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions for Tim. Okay. And I think we can go ahead.
Hillary has a question.
Hillary, go ahead.
I have a question. I wasn't out there to the site visit. I'm sorry, but I wonder if the scour is jeopardizing the integrity of the revetment at all. I guess that's to you, Tim.
I would say no. This is the sort of the typical maintenance stuff that is actually done under this, or will be done under this ongoing special condition. It's not a major bit of the revetment. It may have been addressed when they did the nourishing this year, and now it's eroded out again. I'm not sure exactly how that's transpired, but it's not a significant issue.
Thank you.
So I think we probably can go ahead and do a certificate of compliance here. You asked for ongoing conditions 21 and 24. 21, not having that file open was probably a mistake on my part. Give me 1 second and I will grab that. I'm so used to having Alex right there with everything in front of him. So when I don't open it, he's got it there. So make sure I got the right one. Of course, it's the last one I looked at. So we're looking at conditions 20, where we go. 21, the bulkhead, no, that's the nourishment. And 24 is the maintenance. Okay. So if somebody would like to make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions number 21 and 24.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Janet? Oh, okay. Janet?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Greg?
Yeah.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Next one is certificate of compliance filed by Joan V. Scott for SE 19-1382 for repairing and ongoing maintenance of sandbag toe protection for the Coastal Bank annual beach nourishment and erosion control plantings as needed at property located at 49 Longstreet Lane, map 10, parcel 343. And obviously that's been replaced by the revetment,
Exactly.
I would think. Okay, is there anything else we need to consider for that one?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. So,
Again, I don't have my paperwork with me. I don't think I requested any special conditions for this one. It would be in my cover letter.
right, I'm just gonna pull that up just to double check before we continue. And you're asking for, this one had stairs as well. So you're asking for special condition number 35 from the amended order for the maintenance of the stairs to be an
Okay.
ongoing condition.
Okay,
And I would like to ask the commission how they feel about that. As we have not been giving a lot of ongoing conditions for maintenance lately.
for maintenance of stairways?
Well, for all kinds of things. This one, okay. This says the owner is allowed to complete general routine maintenance on the staircase without further filing with the Conservation Commission, as long as the permit is active, provided that not more than 50% of the structure is compromised. This is to be determined by the conservation agent once notified by the owners that the stairs have been impacted. If significant damage has occurred or the owner wishes to move the stairs to a new location, a new filing must be submitted. That
So,
actually seems okay to me.
I was going to say, it seemed to me that was kind of a pretty standard maintenance condition when it talks about 50% of the damage and that sort of thing. So seems appropriate to me to do that extension
Okay.
with that special
Any-
condition.
Okay. Are there any questions for Tim on this one?
No.
Okay, if we could have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for SE 19-1382 with the continuing condition for number 25 maintenance.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Janet,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I am a yes. And the last one, certificate of compliance filed by Joanne V. Scott for SE 19-1441 for the construction and maintenance of a stone revetment on a coastal bank at property located at 49 Longstreet Lane, map 10, parcel 343.
And this is the order condition that replaced the sandbags with a stone revetment. So it was an extension of the earlier stone revetment, the removal of the sandbags and the extension of the stone revetment.
Okay, and you are not, let's see, you are asking for conditions 25 and 27 to be ongoing relative to the placement of 70 cubic yards of annual beach nourishment. I'm just going to take a quick second look at that here. Okay, so 25 is annual beach nourishment requirement, and 27 is maintenance. Alrighty, so if somebody would like to make a motion for a certificate of compliance for SE 19-1382 with ongoing conditions number 25 and 27.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Greg?
Yeah.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thanks, Tim.
I'm standing by for the next one.
Oh, are you the next one too? I forgot to make notes on who was, okay. So next is the continuation of certificate of compliance filed by Martha Halley, SE 19-1656 for vista pruning at property located at 215 Mary Chase Road, map 18, parcel 084.
And Martha Halley is also with us on the Zoom meeting. She may have some things that you want to say as we go on. This was actually, does the commission have any particular questions? I understand there was some confusion at the last meeting as to exactly what was going on.
Okay, so during the site visit before the last meeting, some of the commission went and looked at this property, and there was some concern about the height of the pruning and the extent of it. It seemed to be excessive and out of bounds of what the order of conditions allowed. So there was concern about issuing ongoing conditions for this when we didn't see conditions that indicated that when the conditions indicated that it hadn't really been adequately complied with.
Where did you think that additional pruning had taken place?
Okay, so I was hoping Alex would be here to talk about that. Mike, you were there.
Yeah,
And Greg. So, go ahead, Mike.
Greg, go ahead. You were.
Sure. We thought the pruning was the flat topped area as you're looking from the back of the house out into the marsh. And it was this large area that it was just flat cut. It looked like someone took some type of machine and just cut the top off the whole area. Yeah. So that's what we thought.
So that is the area that's approved to be pruned. I mean, on the original design plan, it's pretty well outlined. And at the time, it was reviewed on site and we talked about it and we went over it a number of times as to where it would be pruned. So I don't think that it's outside of the bounds where it originally was. Certainly, we don't have any problem with a condition that says that it has to remain within the bounds shown on the plan. As far as flat topping those shrubs, that could well be what's going on there. This is not a pristine wetland habitat area. The stuff that's in there is massive invasives. I'm sure there's lots of critters that are in there, but as far as the pruning of what goes on there, probably not a big deal. I know that Martha deals directly with the people that do the pruning. And I think she'd like to perhaps at this time say something more about that. Martha, can you do that?
I would, thank you. You know, we got our first order of condition in 10 years ago, and we have been in compliance since then through 2 extensions. And this year, I engaged a new crew. And I have to say, there was a miscommunication on when they were going to come to do it. I had a family emergency and had to leave town, and they wound up coming on a day I was not there to supervise them. That's not on them, that was on me. And I think it's possible that the telephone instructions I gave them were not precise enough. But they in fact, the most aggressive area they pruned was an area they didn't need to prune at all. So that was the part on the left-hand side as you're facing. But partly that was because in that particular area, for some reason, the mound of jungle had started to bend towards the lawn. And we were almost in a situation where we wouldn't be able to pass between a large cedar tree to get to the path we take down to bring our kayaks. So they probably could have pruned from the front rather than from the top as much. But the rest of it has pretty much been done the same way. They may not have pruned it with the right equipment. And again, that's not on them, that's on me. And but as I said, this has never happened before. It's this particular year. We didn't remove anything. We didn't prune outside of the designated area that the order of conditions demanded.
And I don't think you prune every year, do you?
No, we prune maybe every 2 years. Sometimes we let it go 3 years.
Yeah. So it's been done recently.
It was done recently.
Won't be done probably for a couple more years.
Greg, what do you think?
Well, I think that, I mean, it was pretty aggressive in terms of the amount taken. It didn't look like, for example, it was following the regulation that was in their order. But I think moving forward, we just want to make sure maybe there's more communication, at least with conservation and when they do it.
You know, we certainly could notify the commission before the pruning. I don't know whether that's being done because it's not being done every year. There's not being pruned every year. But I think that could be an additional condition if you wanted it to be. I wouldn't have any trouble with that. I'm sure Martha wouldn't either. The other thing is, if the commission's really concerned, you have the right on any project that's in the wetland area to go there. And if you don't like what's going on, you can issue enforcement orders for this, that, or the other thing. So I think for this, it is appropriate to say certificate of compliance with an ongoing condition, perhaps a little better communication at the time prior to the pruning.
It's our desire to avoid anything that might cause us to have to do an enforcement order.
Sure. I'm just saying you have the authority.
Okay. Right. So, Mike, you also had a look. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. More to the right, there were some larger trees that had been topped. But I think it's very reasonable to go forward with a certificate of compliance and with some better communication with the commission or certainly with the agent.
So you're both okay with giving ongoing conditions?
Yes.
And okay. So, and anybody else on the commission have any comments on this? Janet?
Karen, if I could.
Yes.
We could just add order number 19 as one of the specials, which says Conservation Commission officers shall be notified in writing 48 hours before beginning any work. So that would be a special condition that comes right out of the existing order of conditions.
Okay. That would take care of my concerns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Janet, you had your hand up, so I'm going to go back to you.
Yes. Apparently the pruning was very aggressive. I'm wondering if Greg and Mike and you think that any of the shrubs or trees might have been killed by the aggressive pruning.
I'll defer to Mike or Greg on that.
I would say no.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see, and I wouldn't be able to really tell, but I don't think they killed the plants. It's just that they were cut back a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're looking at a motion to approve certificate of compliance SE 19-1656 with ongoing conditions number 19, which are time of year, 26, which is pruning height percentage, number 27, which is pruning methods, number 28, which is time of year. And let's see, there were also, and number 29, landscape restriction.
That's fine.
Don't forget number 19 also.
Didn't I say that first?
You
I
did.
don't know. I got lost in all of them.
You want me to repeat them again?
No. I followed all the
Okay.
others. I just didn't hear that.
Okay.
You did say 19.
19,
Perfect.
26, 20, 19, 26, 27, 28, and 29.
Perfect.
Okay.
So
And
moved.
somebody, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, yeah, Janet,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You too. And it was really nice to see you again.
You too.
Okay, next we have here is administrative review filed by Christopher and Veronica Hamill. Applicant proposes to remove 2 red pine trees at property located at 380 South Sunken Meadow, map 04, parcel 051. And is somebody here to speak on this? Okay, don't see anybody. Oh, Ben.
Hi,
Ben,
I'm
right.
here.
Hi.
Yes. Hi. No, it's very straightforward. It's just those 2 trees, one inside the buffer zone and one outside. But I'm here to answer any questions. So,
Okay, so
Um,
Mike and I were out at the site this morning. They look like very healthy trees. So,
Mhm.
and kind of big.
Yeah.
And one of them looks like it's close enough to the house to be a danger to it, and the other one looks like it's not so much a danger, and perhaps could be handled by some careful pruning for the edge that's closest to the house.
I think it's maybe a little like the intention is a little bit more than just protection of the house. It's more kind of a landscaping preference. So I think they would still request taking both trees down with the intention to plant 2 new trees in their place. We were going to go with Tupelo trees since the neighborhood is mostly Tupelo trees. But we can specify a size of tree too if that helps the decision. But
Okay. It seemed like these were very substantially sized trees, and we usually look for, and it's a very open area. We usually look for 2-to-1 mitigation.
okay, they're very flexible in terms of any kind of additional mitigation that's needed.
And what size trees were you thinking about?
I would leave that to you. I mean, we can do like a ball and burlap size tree, or add any other specifications, maybe 2-inch, 3-inch caliper, whatever is the preference of the commission. They are flexible in that regard.
Let's think about that while we see if anybody else on the commission has questions? No? Anybody want to weigh in on the size of the tree? Nope. Okay, I would like, Janet, go ahead.
Yes, it sounded as if you said that one of the trees really wasn't a problem, the location of it. So
Correct.
why are the trees being cut down?
I believe they want, in addition to one of them being pretty close to the house, I believe it's more of to open up the yard, open sunlight to the other vegetation, and just kind of brighten up the backyard. And yeah, so it's a combination of preferences.
But then you're going to destroy some of the canopy in an area that does get a lot of wind.
Mhm.
So I would prefer the replacement with a larger diameter tree.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I would note from the site visit that the property actually seems fairly well protected by the vegetation around it on other properties. So I don't,
Okay.
and the placement of the house, so I don't see those trees in that area at least
All right.
getting significantly long fetches of wind coming in. Is that what your thought, Ben?
Yeah, and it's a very much a thicket of tupelo trees surrounding that area, and it's pretty far inland. It's also kind of adjacent to where the slope goes up out of the wetlands. So I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, Chuck, I saw you waving your hand.
Yeah, just personal experience here. If they want to grow any grass in the place, you need to get rid of a couple of those trees because pine needles kill everything. They acidify the soil and nothing grows. That's why they're prolific, because anything that tries to grow underneath a pine tree dies.
Yeah.
And we should note these are not native pines, these are red pines.
Correct.
So anybody else? It sounds like from what a little I did hear that the larger trees would be a something we would appreciate.
Sure.
So that would be
And yeah, like a 2-inch caliper or something larger. I want to make sure we're clear about that.
2-inch. Janet, thoughts? Yeah, okay. Let's say minimum 2 inches.
Okay.
Okay.
And 2-to-1 mitigation, is that what we
2 to
also?
1. 2 to 1.
Right.
Okay,
2 to
so
1
4 trees.
Mhm.
Four trees, minimum
Okay.
of 2-inch caliper. So if we might, let's see, was it an admin review? So if we might have a motion to approve the removal of the 2 trees with a replacement of 4 trees, mitigation at 2 to 1, with a minimum of a 2-inch caliper for the trees, with special conditions for tree pruning and removal.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have a notice of intent filed by Donna and Daniel McCormick Jr. Applicant proposes to reconstruct an existing stairway on a coastal bank, a property located at 30 Richards Lane, map 21, parcel 62D. And Bob Perry, I think this is you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm trying to get my camera on. And that might happen. And if it doesn't, I'll I'll just continue. So we've been working, well, I'm Bob Perry, Cape Cod Engineering, and I'm working with the McCormick's. They have a bit of a history with you. They've done some projects there. I know Cape Organics had done revegetation work on the coastal bank. And if you've been there, you know they've got this coastal bank shore access stairway, and it's getting old. And they brought us in to evaluate what it needs, and we reviewed this with Anchor Marine. I believe they've already sort of scoped it out, so it's good. We have an engineering team, we have the contractor providing guidance on work protocol and that sort of thing. Alex Bates did communicate with me just in the last couple of days and brought up something that we thought of, but we didn't think of it as a definitional issue. But we have a link from the stairway to the existing dock. And I think it's probably fair that that link be evaluated as a landward extension of the dock. And so, let's see, the meeting is being recorded. I just got a note. Someone was asking me to turn my video on, and
Oh, that was me. I thought it might help you get the video
I
on,
think I'm here.
and you're here.
Thank you. Okay. I've been getting away from Zoom lately, but nice to see you. So I realize that we may have an extension of the dock, and if there's anything in particular that you'd like addressed about that, we'll try to do it. What we have is we have a coastal bank that comes down, then we transition to a fringe marsh, which is primarily Phragmites. And it's not until we get a bit of distance into the dock that we actually transition to salt marsh. And then we go on out and we hit the mean high tide line about 20 feet beyond the beginning of the dock. But if I take this from the top down, the proposal is to replace the existing elevated stairway, which is not very elevated today. We're going to improve the elevation of it, basically be in the same place. There are some things that can be done where you can control the light better. We just have good open risers and open frame. There's lots of vegetation here, so we're not too concerned about destabilizing the bank, but that's going to be carefully monitored. The materials would effectively be taken out from the bottom up. The existing stairway would be used for access, and the stairway would be removed and replaced from the bottom up. The link to the existing pier shows one piling. It is an approximate 13-foot span going through the Phragmites marsh, but it's a total of about 21 feet. So the question is, there's this pathway that was basically turning into a slurry of trampled vegetation. And that's really the primary reason for the link, which would be elevated to take the foot traffic off of that saturated ground. I think that despite the fact that there is some shade in there with the Phragmites, it's going to just allow for that area to stabilize. We could span the fringe marsh, but we do currently show a couple of posts going into it. While it would be a structure similar to a dock, it would have the same width as the stairway. And we're not really going to build it as strong as the portion of the dock that's out in the water, but it is integral with the stairway work. There's not much to go into except to say that this application and construction is quite typical. Material that is excavated from the posts would be minimal. I think we're going to try to use existing post holes, but that's probably going to vary a little bit. We haven't measured every post hole here. So the earth would be taken out from a direct bury post, would be distributed. It could be taken out, but it may do just as well to distribute that material on the bank, be some form of minor sediment. without disturbing the vegetation, which, as I said, was very prolific. It has been managed, and we don't expect any problems with stability. So the notice of intent, it did include a work protocol describing how this would happen. I briefly touched on it. And I think rather than go on too much longer, I know you have a good agenda tonight, so I'll just recognize we do not have a file number. You may have questions for us, so I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, so our biggest concern, or one of our concerns here, is that whether this was a continuation of a walkway or whether it was a dock. And I have to ask if you've if you've reviewed our saltwater dock regulations, which we adopted on June 10th this year.
I did, and I didn't, because it is not it's not a proposal that was intending to, breach and span the salt marsh and go out into the waters of the cove. We didn't see that there was that much of this particular link that would relate. Shellfish study, the
placement of the piles in a salt marsh.
Right. Well, we have a Phragmites marsh, and I did mention that we can span that. It's a 13-foot distance, but I'm recognizing that we do have a couple of poles going down into the Phragmites marsh, which that can be changed. But going through the performance standards, so much of it related to sediment transfer, sediment concerns, shellfish, and many of the things that you would want to pay attention to with a dock. I looked at this link, and I was maybe getting into semantics with myself a bit, but I said this link is for access to the dock. It's not access to the water. But that's splitting hairs, and we're not going to do that. So we considered this to be, it's a landward extension of the dock.
Okay, and that was my biggest concern about this project. But I'll come back to me. I'm going to let Mike go first, and then go around the room.
Sure.
Yeah, I was on site today with Karen and walked through that section. And I guess the question I have is, on your diagram, you've got this link segment, which you'd like to call a link from the stairs to the actual dock, the dock being over the salt marsh. But how do you differentiate between what you call a fresh marsh and a salt marsh? Because it all looked flooded out when I walked through it today. Right.
Very good question. The definition of salt marsh in the Wetland Act is a salt marsh, or a regime of Spartina grasses, both tall form, which is the alterniflora, and the small, wavier, wispier Spartina patens. But the salt marsh is definitionally not present when you get above the spring tide level. What you get then is something that people rarely speak of. I think we loosely call it a salt marsh, but there's a fresh marsh where groundwater breaks out at the base of the coastal bank, and it has created a population of Phragmites, which is it technically would be a form of bordering vegetated wetland, but very rarely do we see that against a saltwater body. It's just a marsh, and I'm perfectly comfortable not differentiating. We call it a link because we're joining the stairs to the dock, but I think we're at a point where we're calling it an extension of the dock.
I would be more comfortable with that. Yes. I mean, it seems a bit arbitrary, having visited the site. The dock itself is an even platform, and you want to continue that even platform over what you're defining as the fresh marsh, and then the stairs start. And I think that's a concern that I had after visiting the site today. Thanks for explaining that, though.
Yeah, sure. Your regulations actually use the term fringe, and that's what we're dealing with here. And
okay,
we looked at this as a benefit to get the foot traffic off the ground.
That's right, and I totally agree with that. It's much nicer than and for anyone who looks at the NOI, the photographs are very clear. The stairs go down, you walk through 20 feet of slush and Phragmites that have been crushed, and then you walk up to the dock itself, which goes out into the town cove. So getting rid of that section is admirable. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to see if anybody on the commission has any questions, comments. Greg, and then Janet. Greg, you're muted.
Thank you. Are you proposing to put a span from the stairs to the dock without any poles going into the yard?
No, the plan initially, the plan that we submitted, it did not disregard your regulations intentionally. We just put a set of piles that are just ever so slightly inside the Phragmites marsh. And if you look at the plan, you can see the Phragmites marsh there's a 20, I'm just looking at it here. The stand that we were going to create was about 20 feet, and 13 of those cross over the Phragmites marsh. So we can remove that pile bent, and I think we can span the Phragmites marsh.
Thank you.
Anything else, Greg?
No.
Janet?
Because I did not go to the site this morning, I'm a little confused about, it was, your submission was to reconstruct the existing stairway, but this is another aspect to it.
That would be true.
Put a connection in. That's really not reconstructing the existing stairway.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think there are details that if we were reterming this, we could say it was a proposed reconstruction of existing stairway and an extension to meet up with the dock, but we just termed it the way we termed it. We weren't trying to mislead anyone, because everybody knows this plan would find itself into a public hearing and you can see what's proposed, but it was, it's a detail where the stairway is reconstructed, but we're adding a link. So however you want to handle that, we'll try to help you with that.
I would prefer that detail was discussed and presented, other than just to have it as an existing stairway. Because it does go out over the marsh, your proposal.
Yes, it does. It goes over. Yep, that I agree with you. That's the fact. If you prefer, I mean, I don't want to make too much out of that. You may. I can only help you by saying that we started with a reconstruction of a stairway, and as we developed it, the owner mentioned he really felt that the marsh and the ground was suffering, so we added on to the link. But you know, the notice of intent just termed it as reconstruction of an existing stairway, but then we have a 20-foot segment, which is not a reconstruction. No question about that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just to clarify, this link that they're adding, the purpose of it is to cut back on ground traffic, right? And
that is true.
Right. So we're protecting the surface by including this.
That was our purpose.
Anything else, Chuck?
Nope.
Okay. So I do have a few things. So as Mike said, we were out there this morning, and we could see where the wrack has washed up and where people have been walking between the docks. And I'm a little curious how it got to be that the stairs were built, and the dock was built with its own set of stairs a little further out. I was wondering if you happen to know which came first.
Oh, I wish I knew. The stairs look older. And I mean, that's my hunch, is the stairs look older. I did look at the license a couple of times. In fact, we have it in the file for the dock. For the life of me, I don't know. I just think that there was something about at the conception of a project like the dock, I think there's probably an interest in minimizing things. And perhaps, and again, I'm speculating, but at the time, it was probable that maybe the Phragmites weren't such a outrageous crop. And there was a more practical, open, possibly even drier route. And over the years, it just, maybe the inlet changed. The barrier out there changes, and maybe the tide range changed in the inlet for, over the last 30 years. And so it's probably just an accident of someone trying to minimize the length of the dock.
Yeah, it seemed to me like the stairs probably came first. And once they were there, then to have to reconstruct the stairs and then connect the dock. And maybe they also wanted to have the stairs so they could access the area when they're not using the dock. But anyway, it looks a little funny when you're out there.
I know.
Yeah. So I guess we've established that this is a continuation of the dock, and that you're going to do a little work to move the piles and bring us another plan with that. But I just want to say, looking at the rest of the plan, I think you've done a really terrific job about improving the conditions that exist by raising the stairs and paying attention to where there might be areas of erosion from the foot traffic and things like that. So I did want to acknowledge that in your plan. And I think the only issue really I had was that connector and establishing what it was and getting it in compliance with our dock regulation. And it sounds like the rest of the commission doesn't have much more than that as well.
Well, we can take a look at that link. I think it's practical to support the walkway portion as a clear span over the Phragmites marsh. So you will be getting a revised plan from us once we've evaluated what we need to do with that. And the file number, that's not in, so we're bound for a continuation.
Right. Anyway, our next meeting is not until January 13th. So
it's my birthday. Oh, okay.
Congratulations.
Well,
happy birthday. So is that
here? Okay. I'll be happy to take that continuation. This is a job that would be done just before the growing season.
Okay. And before we continue, I'm going to ask if there are any abutters on the call who have any comments or questions. Okay, I see none. So if somebody would like to make a motion to continue this until January 13th, 2026.
So moved.
And is there a second? Okay. Janet?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. Have a good holiday, and we'll see you.
Thank
beginning of the
you
year.
all very much. Have a good holiday, and we'll look for you next year. Take care.
Thank you.
Night
Thank you
now.
very much.
Okay, next up, we have a notice of intent filed by David Milliken. Applicant proposes to construct a new house and appurtenances, a property located at 95 Windjammer Road, map 19, parcel 006. And I know this was going to be continued because the narrative and some parts of the application was not included, but I don't have a date. Is Jason still on the call? Okay. So I think maybe we'll just continue it. It just needs to have that added. So I think we'll just continue it to the next meeting. If somebody would like to make a motion to continue this to January 13th, 2026.
Move to continue to January 13th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay. Next up is the continuation of notice of intent filed by Cape Holden Realty Trust. Applicant proposes to construct a new family dwelling at property located at 339 Dyer Prince Road, map 19, parcel 111. And I'm going to start off by saying we have a quorum, a qualified quorum for this matter of Greg Douglas, Chuck Wagner, Janet Benjamin, Joanne Cosset, and myself only. Joanne is not here tonight. And then we did receive a letter from Ben Zender representing the applicants with what is a waiver request. And I think we're going to consider that first. And as our regulations do require that it is the responsibility of the applicant to provide the commission with any and all relevant information that the applicant wishes the commission to consider in deliberating the waiver request, and failure of the applicant to provide such information in the filing may and shall result in a denial of the waiver. I think that we can review the waiver without any additional input at this time from the applicant. But Ben, I do notice that your hand is up, and I will give you 1 minute if you would like before we start.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I can make it quick. I just want to make sure that who's qualified to sit on this. Are there enough people here that can actually vote on a waiver? And I'm going to turn my camera on and off because it's fuzzy, if you don't mind.
Okay. There is a quorum of 5 people for the application in general under the WPA. The waiver requires 5 affirmative votes, but that we have a quorum for the application, so that would allow us to consider the waiver.
No, my question is, who are the 5 members that can consider the application? And I'll run through the names. I think Mr. Wagner.
I did run through it at the beginning when I opened the matter. So
yeah, would you indulge me? Would you indulge me,
yes,
please?
absolutely.
I just want to make sure, because I think that Ms. Swabble and Mr. Rivers are not available to sit on this because they're new members and haven't heard all of it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the members that are available are Mr. Wagner, Ms. Benjamins, Ms. Strauss. Is Ms. Cossett here?
He is not.
Okay. And Mr. Douglas. So we only have 4 members sitting on this matter that are qualified to vote on this matter, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I don't think we have the number of people necessary to vote on a waiver. A waiver requires, under your bylaw, I think a waiver requires 5 votes if I read your bylaw correctly.
A waiver requires 5 of the commission to vote to approve it.
So
it doesn't require 5 members to be here to consider it.
Okay, so how could we possibly obtain a waiver with only 4 members available to consider the matter?
Well, it only takes 1 vote to deny the waiver, and my belief that you're going to not get, you're going to at least get 1 denial here.
Well, that's all well and good. I'm not going to the merits at this point. I'm just saying I've never been in front of a board in my 35 years of history where you don't have the requisite number of people available to grant the relief sitting, and it moves forward, is what I'm saying.
So you are asking us to continue it?
I think I'm going to have to. You don't have 5 members available to consider this matter. So I mean, I'm happy to have you discuss it, but I've just never been in a position in my career where 5 members are needed to grant a particular form of relief and only 4 members are available to hear the matter. So.
Okay. I'm going to ask Hillary if she wants to weigh in with any advice here.
Sure.
I tend to agree with Ben that we do need 5 members sitting that can vote on the waiver. I think what I'm sensing is that some of the 4 members that are here already know that the waiver doesn't meet the requirements of the regulation. So I think we were trying to spare a continuance to another meeting in the interest of time and the applicant and the application going forward. But if you would like us to wait until we have 5 members present, we can certainly do so.
No, through the chair, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think I'll spare the board that complexity or that additional work. I think what I'll do is I've noted my observation. It sounds like from what the chair was saying is that they're not seeking any input from the applicant with regard to the waiver request. So with no further ado, I will sit and listen to the board, and I may make a request at some point of the board for procedural action before you vote.
Okay. Okay. So as noted, the waiver is authorized for us to consider under the town wetlands bylaw, section 155.13. It does state that the only reasons that a waiver would be granted would be for a public safety matter or to prevent a unconstitutional regulatory taking, and that it requires 5 members of the commission to vote to approve a waiver in order for that to go into effect. The regulations themselves, which is section 3A of the wetlands regulations, says that it should be the responsibility of the applicant to provide the Conservation Commission with any and all relevant information that the applicant wishes the commission to consider. And having received this document sent to the commission by Ben Zender, we are considering this to be the application for the waiver. Going through this, I note that the commission has been reviewing the matter of this filing since April 22nd. There have been numerous continuances. 9 times this has been on the agenda, whether to open a hearing or to continue, and that the last meeting on this matter was August 26th. The waiver filing requirements are pretty specific in terms of what is required, that the applicant should provide a number of specific things, that they have to describe how the project qualifies for a waiver in accordance with the bylaw. Sorry, I just need to take a second if you don't mind. That they have to describe how the project qualifies for a waiver, and then describe how a waiver for the project is necessary to accommodate an overriding public interest, or that is necessary to avoid a decision that so restricts the property that it becomes an unconstitutional taking without compensation. And then it needs to identify specific procedures and design specs and regulations and so on. And it goes on for, it's quite specific. And in reviewing the document, that the letter that Ben Zender submitted to us, he notes that he quotes some of the regulations. The waiver is necessary to avoid a decision that so restricts the use of property that it constitutes an unconditional taking. He goes on to say that the property is a buildable lot for a single family residential use under Eastham zoning bylaw, which is and that the lot is assessed. So the Conservation Commission not being beholden to the zoning regulations. And then he goes on to note that the without the ability to locate a septic system on the property, it shall not be usable as a residence, thereby depriving the property of substantially all of its value and deprive the owners of their significant economic expectation. And talks about real estate taxes, but provides no proof or evidence about the economic expectation aside from the assessors, from the assessment. So that is not providing evidence for the commission to consider there. It talks about a grant of an order of conditions that he notes is 1988. The order specifically says November 30th, 1987 for a house that has expired for over 30 years. So it is not, and the wetlands laws have changed, so it doesn't provide, you say it's for a house, but the filing the OOC does not make that clear, so we can't properly evaluate that without all of the plans that were in place. And as it expired 35 years ago, it's not active for us that anybody could build on it. And then it goes on to say that speaks to number 2, the resource area will not, you have to show the resource area will not be better protected, etc. And the letter writes that the applicant understands that leaving the lot undeveloped appears desirable. However, flooding of the leach component will not create any adverse consequences for the resource area. No documents are provided for us to consider in regard to that. It mentions that effluent in the leach field will be leaching into the ground in the normal course anyways, but this is specifically a regulation that would prohibit a leach field, which would mean that there would be no effluent in the ground. And then there's no alternatives proposed. This says that there are no alternatives, that the applicant could design a septic system with an elevating protective wall and mounding to elevate the system above the flood elevation, but provides no details for us to evaluate for the proposal. So again, we have nothing to review for that. The applicant is asked to review, to provide an explanation of why there are no reasonable alternatives. And I quote from the response that it talks about the septic system being in the most responsible location with a perk rate drip disposal field. It is the best system available. As stated above, even in the event of flooding, there will be no adverse impact on the resource. There is no support, no evidence provided for that. And an attorney's statement that something has no resource is not evidence. There's no mitigation proposals or measures discussed per Section 6 of the filing requirements. There's no, as I said, there's no discussion of an assessment other than that from the assessment department, which I note uses tax code 1300, which also does not override any wetlands permitting. Let's see. So to me, it seems like that this does not meet the filing requirements and does not provide enough information for us to evaluate any of the assertions made in this. And I would propose that we make a motion to deny the waiver based on failure of the applicant to provide data, evidence, and details as required by this regulation. And if somebody maybe would like to make such a motion.
I move to deny the waiver because
is there
adequate information presented as required in our regulations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and now if we might like to take a moment, if anybody would like to discuss this. Anybody in the commission would like to discuss it further? Greg?
Yeah, I just like to say that, given that this is a waiver, in order for me to really vote in an educated way, in a positive way, I mean, I would need to have seen some type of analysis by an environment, some type of hydrogeologist or an environmental or engineer, somebody who is familiar with the site and could show us with some level of confidence that in fact there are no impacts. And I just haven't seen that report. That's my issue.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Ben, I'll give you a minute to respond if you'd like.
Yeah, can you hear me okay, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I actually have to say, Greg, thank you so much for the feedback. I appreciate it. I am going to ask the board to allow us to withdraw the application before you take a vote on the motion to deny. But any feedback that we can get is always valuable in considering our next steps if there are any. So I would ask the chair to, if permissible, allow the mover to withdraw the motion and then allow us to withdraw the application.
Okay, I will ask Janet, as you made the motion, if you would like to withdraw it, so we might consider a request to withdraw the application.
I don't know about the appropriateness of that because the waiver as presented was inadequate.
Okay, they're asking to withdraw, as I understand, the entire notice of intent. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
So they're asking to withdraw the entire project. So if they withdraw the entire project, the waiver no longer the waiver becomes moot.
Okay.
So
sorry, is there a chance for the public to speak on this before you guys decide everything?
Before we
because you're taking votes, we haven't had any public input. Any butter input.
We are taking a motion to withdraw the application. Do you wish to speak on the withdrawal of the application?
But doesn't withdrawing the application mean if they get denied, they can't come back for 3 years or something like that? But if it gets withdrawn, they come back next month? Is that the case?
They can't come back with substantially the same project immediately under the Wetlands Protection Act and under 310 CMR. They would have to come back with a substantially altered notice of intent if they wanted to file immediately. And they would still face the same circumstances that we are discussing now, unless it is a substantially altered application.
Okay. Well, there might be a few points what we can make on the record since we waited this long to wait. I don't know if that's part of the process here or not.
But right now we're considering an application that we're considering whether Janet has withdrawn her motion. I'm not sure if we have to vote on that as we voted a second. So I think maybe we should just go ahead and do that for the moment. But before I go on, Amy, did you have something to add to this? Or you just wanted to identify who that speaker was?
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. I'm all set though. I see his name.
Okay, so Janet has withdrawn the motion. I think that is, I'm not sure if that's sufficient or we need to vote to accept the withdrawal as we second it.
Madam Chair, I think
yes.
Once the mover withdraws the motion and the second withdraws their second, then I think the board is clear and the board can move ahead with the next step.
Okay, I appreciate your input there because this is not something we actually do that often. Okay, no. Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, would you like to withdraw your second so we can consider?
I'd like to withdraw my second. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the applicant has asked us has requested to withdraw the application. So if somebody might like to make a motion to accept the withdrawal.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Greg?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you all.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, let's see. Okay, if nobody objects, I'd like to just take a 2-minute recess before we come back. It is now 7:21. We'll be back at 7:23.
Fine.
Okay, we are back. And thank you for your patience. Next up on our agenda, I think, is everybody back? Okay, next up on our, oops, an agenda. Okay, next up on the agenda is the continuation of notice of intent filed by Stephen Wurst. Applicant proposes to replace existing concrete seawall with stone revetment at property located at 75 Cove Road, map 18, parcel 050A. If the applicant would just like to introduce themselves and
Or
maybe get us started.
Yep. My name's Bryony Angus. It's like Brian with a Y. From Ty and Bond, and I believe Steve is also with us. I do have a brief slide deck. I don't know if the commission wants to see that. I know many of you are familiar with the project, so let me know your preference. I could run through that or just talk verbally like the other applicants.
How long is your slide deck about?
It's about 15 slides, but a lot of them are just the drawings.
Okay, I think you can go ahead.
Sure. I'll present very quickly. Hold on. All right. So just to orient the commission, the site is 75 Cove Road, as the chair mentioned, an existing lawn area, boat ramp, a wooden walkway here with an existing licensed dock. This is our limit of work. The project, let me get all these windows out of the way. There we go. The intent of the project, and again, the commission has seen this project before. This is an updated proposal that is the subject of a lot of consultation with the conservation agent and state and federal regulators, taking into account a lot of the input from past reviews. So the intent of the project, there's an existing vertical faced concrete bulkhead out there that is being undermined, and the intent is to replace this with a more resilient structure. This is in very poor condition, and there's a lot of undermining at the toe of the bulkhead. This ramp as well, the pedestrian ramp, is a little unsafe and sketchy, so the intent is also to install an elevated staircase here. Just in terms of existing conditions, the bulkhead, there are no proposed modifications to this set of stairs or the elevated pier. It's truly just the pedestrian ramp here. This is just a view showing the pile supported pier. There's salt marsh and coastal beach here and bank. I'll move to the next slide. And then just so the commission sees, it's a fairly steep lawn area leading down to the existing bulkhead. In terms of resource areas, Tyne Bond did an updated delineation in support of this application. So our top of bank is essentially the clear line where the lawn meets the existing parking lot. We flagged and delineated salt marsh. We have coastal beach. This turquoise line is land subject to coastal storm flowage. And just looking at this view, there's no work proposed page south of the boat ramp. And again, our limit of work is the red line. I think I'll move through these. We can come back to these if the commission has specific questions. The proposed project essentially is going to be to remove the existing vertical face bulkhead and go back into the coastal bank with a sloping revetment. And again, this is directly in response to input from local, state, federal regulators during the last round of permitting. There's no seaward encroachment of the coastal engineering structure. And then there will be an elevated staircase as well as stabilization of the coastal bank and new plantings. We did submit some supplemental information to the commission as part of our filing, just running through a number of alternatives. I won't regurgitate these, but just to be clear, we're well aware that previous applications included proposed nourishment of either the coastal engineering structure or the beach. There is no nourishment proposed as part of this project. So the project proposed in the NOI is again, the sloped rock revetment, no nourishment, and stabilization of the bank. But we looked at a number of other, honestly, less complicated solutions for stabilizing the bank and replacing the bulkhead. But the goal is really to get that slope to reduce the undermining of the toe of it. We also looked at a nature-based solution in the alternatives analysis that would generally have the same footprint as the sloped revetment. And as described in our materials, given the nature of the site, it really isn't the optimal solution in terms of maintenance and wave action, et cetera. But happy to talk more about any of these. Just in terms of how this will actually be constructed, the proposal is to come in through the boat ramp. There will be a temporary construction road cut into the bank to allow work to occur from the landward side. So there's no proposed access on the beach or from the water side. There is a proposed sheet pile protection that is going to be placed on the beach just to minimize impacts from demolition. So we are showing some temporary impacts to salt marsh in the notice of intent just for that little area, and those will be replaced. Oops, zoomed in too much. So proposed conditions, this is showing the footprint of the sloped revetment. The extent of the bank will remain the same. This will be stabilized and revegetated. And our proposed conditions drawing, actually no, our planting plan, which is coming, shows the species to be planted on the bank as well as the replaced salt marsh. These impacts are noted in the notice of intent, very minor permanent impacts associated with this solution. And again, no proposed seaward extension. This is the planting plan that was submitted with the notice of intent. Happy to answer any questions, but essentially it's a conservation seed mix to replace the existing. This is all just turf grass right now, so it will continue to be maintained as a grassy area, but it will be a salt tolerant seed mix. And then again, this drawing shows the salt marsh to be replaced. And that is a very quick presentation. So I will stop sharing and happy to answer any questions. I can't hear you.
I was muted. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize. Okay. So Mike and I were out there this morning. We talked with somebody from your company.
Dan.
I think he said Dan.
Yep.
And we looked things over, and this I have been out at this site quite a few times since January 2019. So I'm quite familiar with it. And looking at it, it seems like the bulk of the problem is from the landward side of the seawall. That water coming from upland down that slope is undermining the seawall more than any scour at the toe on the seaward side.
Well, and so that's another benefit of the slope revetment, because it will, and honestly, the different vegetation that will be planted, I think it'll be help to slow that runoff down a little bit from the parking lot, and then it's going to almost infiltrate through the revetment, and not like, right now it's steep lawn, sharp vertical face. So this will allow runoff to more gradually reach the beach.
Okay. And looking at the toe of the seawall, it does not appreciate to have the scour and undermining does not appear to have appreciably increased since January 2019. Is that your observation as well?
I have to admit, I haven't been out there, and I was not out there in 2019. I do know there are continued concerns on behalf of the applicant and the association that it is an issue and warrants replacement. I know they've gone through an incredible process in many iterations, so I think they do feel that it is both a maintenance and a safety concern. So I think they believe it's necessary.
Just noting that I was out there in January 2019 and several times in 2021 and 22, and have not been out there since. So, so just this all moves me towards the alternatives analysis that we asked you to provide, and why the matter was continued to this meeting. And it seems like you have not really included in the alternatives analysis, you're not really looking at nature-based solutions aside from choir roles. And I'm not understanding why that hasn't been included in the alternatives analysis, and also why there's no alternative analysis that would consider the removal of the seawall entirely and not replace it, instead developing a nature-based and vegetation-heavy alternative to stabilize the slope, and that would also manage stormwater runoff and prevent that from winding up in Town Cove We also note that the salt marsh has been growing in nicely in that area since the nourishment stopped in 2016. And I don't see a plan that might look to doing a nature-based shoreline management of the area instead of a more invasive revetment. And I'd like to know why those weren't considered, and I would like to see those kinds of alternatives analyses provided to the commission.
Sure, lots to respond to. So again, just for folks who have not read it, we did evaluate and look at a coastal bank stabilization alternative that used fiber rolls. I don't think you could get any engineering company or ecological design company to do a nature-based solution here that didn't involve some sort of stabilizing element like a core log, you know, to get it to the slope where you could just stabilize this with plantings alone, you'd be grading that bank so significantly that I wonder, you know, you'd be hitting the parking lot. So just to be clear, we did evaluate a potential nature-based solution. Secondly, the proposed alternative is the result of pretty significant regulatory input and consultation with regulators to consider what the most resilient solution is. And it, you know, it is definitely, if anybody was going to suggest that a nature-based solution was appropriate here, it would have been CZM and DEP in one of the many meetings that we've had about this project. So I do think this solution, it is a lot, it's still revetment, but it is a lot softer than the existing bulkhead that's out there right now.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Yep. You're asking us to consider that other regulators have examined this and given you input, but you haven't provided any of that to us to review. So I think if you're going to rely on that to lean into a specific preferred solution here, then you should provide us with that data for us to review as well.
Sure. And just to be clear, I'm speaking about regulatory consultation meetings at which the conservation agent was present. So there's not a, you know, we haven't done a deep dive analysis of a nature-based solution. You know, if that's what the commission's asking for, we can consider it further. You know, with respect to, you know, the proposal in the NOI is very consciously avoiding impacts to salt marsh, except where we have that temporary sheet pile to protect it. There's no, the intent of this project is not to replace one resource area with another. So we have Coastal Beach. We're all in agreement that the salt marsh is naturally transitioning, but replacing one resource area, Coastal Beach, by sort of installing more salt marsh is not the intent of this project, would not, I don't believe it would contribute to resiliency in a way that the sloped revetment wouldn't. And I think we all have to acknowledge it's continuing to expand, and this won't inhibit that at all. So I'm not sure, you know, if the intent of the commission is to request that the applicant install more vegetation on the beach as part of a resilient solution. I'm not sure that's necessary for this project to meet the performance standards, frankly.
Well, our agent is not the commission. We were not involved in discussions with those regulatory agencies. I'm not sure which agent that was. I think it might have been not our current agent.
No, Alex
is it Alex? Okay, yeah. Okay. But the commission has not been involved in those discussions, and we have not seen any information from those discussions. and I'm just looking to get a complete picture here and to look
Sure.
into options that might not include locks, but might also provide more benefit. Hillary, your hand was up.
I was just going to say that Alex and I were both invited to one meeting. There were DEP officials there, there were CZM officials there, and it seemed more like an informational meeting, not an application discussion.
No, yes, it was not a discussion of the NOI, given the, it was what we would call a pre-filing regulatory consultation meeting with all agencies that may have jurisdiction present, given the history of the project, frankly. Like it would have been a lot of the drivers for the currently proposed alternative were certainly based on feedback from the commission, but also DEP and CZM. So we didn't want to file this application again without talking to those entities. But
okay, but you are leaning into that rather heavily in eliminating options from what you're showing us without providing us with any of that context.
Sure, no, and we'd be happy to provide more information. I'm just giving you, I'm having a dialogue right now about why we don't feel that a nature-based solution is the preferred alternative here.
Okay, but the only nature-based solution you've shown us is choir rolls. And looking at, and you did include a mention of Storm Smart fact sheet number 4, which the commission has got a copy of in there with the agent report to review. And as you know, that does talk to more than just choir rolls laid out at the toe of a bank. It has other options and discussion in there that include terracing and other more substantial projects that include choir rolls further up the bank and fiber blankets and vegetation and so on. So to only say that choir rolls at the toe of the bank won't work isn't a substantive look into nature-based solutions as far as I'm concerned.
No, I've heard, and we can take a further look. I guess can I ask what the biggest driver for this is? Is it resiliency? Is it minimizing impacts to resource areas? Because that would be helpful to know. I do think, I honestly think that regardless of the solution, whether it's a slope revetment or more of a nature-based solution, impacts to resource areas and compliance with performance standards are going to be pretty similar across the board. So it would just be helpful to hear what the commission's goal might be for a greener solution.
Well, my goal is to put something that has perhaps less impact than a rock revetment that does enhance the resource area there, that might have a positive effect because it is a very slopey area with a lot of runoff that might have a positive effect on that.
Okay, again, the impacts we're talking about are just to bank. So in terms of the performance standards for coastal bank, I would argue they would be very similar, but we don't even that was helpful. We can take an additional look, and it also sounds like you're considering how the stabilization structure solution affects the beach area in terms of stormwater runoff across the lawn through the wall. So we can consider that. The work that went into, whatever solution we have won't have a seaward encroachment. So we're just talking about coastal bank, and from a.
But you are looking at replacing the wall and stabilizing that. So there are other options besides a hard solution that might work in this location. And I'd like to see more options that might go in that direction. Because looking at the other properties nearby, they're all heavily vegetated and well stabilized without any hard structure. So why should you have a hard structure at this location? Just because you have one already is not enough. That the performance standards do look to trying other things before hard structure.
We will consider it further. Yep. I need to go back to your regs, frankly. You know, this is a replacement, you know, if we're talking strictly Wetlands Protection Act, this is replacement of a coastal engineering structure with something that absolutely enhances the interests of the bank. It definitely is. We're going from a mowed lawn and a vertical wall to a sloped revetment that will provide habitat. It'll trap sediment, it'll hold sediment, it'll release sediment. It is way better than the existing bulkhead, but we will, I definitely hear what you're looking for.
But it also moves into the buffer zone and disturbs vegetation there, and we look to have something that would improve and the rocks would take away from. So
just to be clear though, it does not. The entire lawn is bank. So our buffer zone impacts are 100% temporary, associated with staging and access, and don't differ between any alternatives. So all of these alternatives, like it is bank from the top of the bulkhead to the parking lot. So we're none of these will sort of change other resource area impacts. But again, I don't want to belabor it. We will. I feel like I understand what you're asking for.
Okay, and that's all I have until I see what you come back with, and I'm going to see what the rest of the commission has here. Chuck, you can go first.
Yep, I'd just like to point out that the chair is speaking for herself and not the rest of us. Some of us recognize that talking about fully vegetated banks on the adjacent things is just a red herring, because this is a beach, right? It's an association beach, and they're trying to modify the structure that holds the bank back and provides better protection against waterfalls coming over the rock, the concrete edge. I'm far less concerned about this than the chair. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Janet?
Yes, I concur with Karen's concerns that there have not been a complete enough discussion of some of the other alternatives, other than for you to say that they're not as good. I would like some more input on that. Thank you.
Greg, anything from you?
Yeah, so I agree with the chair in that it would be very helpful to see a softer solution to a hard revetment, just to make the comparison. And right now we really can't. So if they can provide that information, I'd like to take a look at it.
Mike?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay. Cinnamon, anything from you?
Yes, I do consider the proposal an improvement on what is currently there, but I also think the commission would like to see some other alternatives as the chair is proposing.
Steve, you're the applicant, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, could you just identify yourself for the
Yeah,
record? And
Steve Worst, and we're the applicant, and Briani's representing us. I just wanted to make the point, you had mentioned that there's no other rock revetments in the area. There's actually a rock revetment right next door to us on Corliss Way, a very big one at a property. So I just wanted to let you know that we won't be the only rock revetment in the area. There's a few of them.
Not right next door, though.
No, well, the big one I was just talking about it's on Corliss Way right next door. I mean, you could throw a rock at it from our place.
Right, but it's not your neighbor on either side.
No, but it's on the next street over.
Okay. Okay.
And I guess the other point I would make is that, going through this whole process with the commission and then the state, the commission agreed to follow the lead and do whatever the state recommended. And we are proposing exactly what the state recommended. So I just wanted to let you know that too.
Oh, I don't remember having that conversation. That the commission agreed to anything of the sort. When did that happen?
Did he just freeze?
I think he froze.
I think he froze. So I do not remember the commission having any such conversation where we agreed to follow the state without having reviewed any application or anything. I'll wait to see if he comes back and would like to finish.
No, he's gone.
He's gone.
Well, unrelated or not, I will also just mention for the commission that we did receive a couple comments from Southeast Region that we responded to in writing with a copy to the commission.
Oh, we have not seen those.
Okay, they're uploaded through your portal. They had super minimal comments. One about salt marsh performance standards, one about whether we needed to submit to DMF, which we do not. And I cannot recall the third one, but we'll continue, so you'll have an opportunity to see them.
Okay, we might have missed those because Alex, our agent, is out sick today. So okay. So I'm waiting to see if Steve is going to come back. Otherwise, I'm going to ask if there are any abutters on this call who wish to be heard. And I do not see any. So it seems like we're going to need to have a continuation. We need one anyway, as we also do not have a DEP number, as far as I know.
Oh, you do. You do.
We do? Okay, I was told.
No, we've
Sorry,
had
I was
it for-
told by two people that we don't have DEP numbers for any of the NOIs today. Okay, we do.
Yep.
But I think we want to continue so you can address the concerns.
That's fine. Yep.
And our next meeting is January 13th. Would that suit?
Yep.
Okay.
On behalf
So
of Steve, who's not here. Yep. Fine.
But I would have been happy to continue that conversation with him, but we can take it up again in January. If somebody would like to make a motion to continue this to January 13th, 2026.
Move to continue to January 13th, 2026.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Greg?
Yes. Yeah.
Chuck?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thank you so much. I hope you have happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
I do note that Steve appears to be in the meeting, but I don't know if he's. Steve, are you there? I will fill him in.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
whatever he wants to share with us, we can take up again in January.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay. And just give me a minute as I completely misplaced the agenda. That's the on-site. There, nope. Okay. Sorry about that. It always seems to walk at least twice per meeting. Okay, so next up is the minutes from November 25th, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Anybody have any comments, corrections? Okay,
No.
otherwise, if somebody would make a motion and somebody follow it with a second, please.
Move that we approve the meetings from November 25th, 2025.
And second from somebody?
Second,
Second.
Okay, Cinnamon,
yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Janet,
I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't think I can vote.
you can vote.
Oh, I can?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, next up, we have a continuation of the violation at 25 Seaview Road. And Hillary, if I could just ask you maybe to run through it for us, because I usually ask Alex, and I frankly could use a little breathing space.
Sure thing.
Okay.
I think at this property, there was some tree work and vegetation removal that was not permitted. And Alex did try to consult the homeowner and spoke to the landscaper. I think the landscaper comes out of Yarmouth. And I think they did not show up at our last meeting. And so we reached out again to see if they would come to this meeting to talk about the work that was done. We would like to request a site plan with the resource area delineations. And I think that's where we left it. There are wood chips in the resource area that we also wanted to ask them to remove immediately and possibly put up a silt fence.
Okay. And
So-
also I think detail the work that they performed so that
On the site plan, yep.
yeah. And
Mhm.
and on the neighbor's property, because it
Yes.
appears that okay. So I'm gonna ask, I know Wayne told me that somebody was at the town hall to discuss this, if they could identify themselves.
I'm Adrian Vickers. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good.
And if you could identify how you're related to this, are you the property owner or the contractor
Landscaper.
or the landscaper?
I'm a landscaper. Yep, and
Okay.
I'm from Sandwich.
Sandwich, sorry.
Okay. And is the property owner on the call?
I am Jordy Sanborn here.
Okay. So maybe you could tell us what went on here so we can understand.
Yes, we had some work done to the property itself around the hotel. I know Adrian from SNK Landscape had noticed a downed tree through some storm damage, and I think that's where the issue here came into scope, where they had gone over, they cleaned up that downed tree. I believe they topped it. They mulched that into a pile on the side of the driveway. If for what I understand now is that mulch pile is within the wetland delineation. They were asked to stop that work. He intended to redistribute those wood chips across the property around the flower beds and was just waiting for approval to remove that mulch pile and distribute around the property.
Okay, so we were out there for a site visit on November 25th, and there were numerous trees that were taken down. And there were a number of very large wood chip piles along the edge of the wetland, and not just one pile, but a whole row of them. And there were trees down on the neighbor's property and wood chips there as well. So that seems like a little bit more than you just described for
The
us.
tree that was topped by the corner of the pool area, I think is the tree that was referenced by an abutting neighbor. That was the tree that had come down in the prior storm that my understanding is that SNK had mulched that tree. I wasn't there during the work. I was in Tampa for my corporate job. But when I came back, I mean, the other tree work was within the perimeter of the hotel grounds, within the fence line. And when I met the individual from the town, was that Alex who I met with?
That was Alex Bates.
Alex is awesome. He kind of walked me through the whole area. I just let him know, like, hey, how can I help in terms of mitigation to clean up whatever the mulch pile, the trees that we walked through in the yard. As we walked through, he had noted it seemed as though they were on the outside of the wetland delineation. So I think the subject area was just around the immediate mulch pile, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, but we don't have a site plan for your location, so that makes it hard to tell what is in and what is not in the resource areas to establish whether work was unpermitted, whether all of the work was unpermitted or only some of it. So in order to establish what was done, we will need an engineered site plan that includes of your property, that includes the wetland, and that would also include any work you might have done on the abutting your neighbor's property.
So if I understand correctly, the tree that was topped, that seems like it was half on my property, half on his property. That's the tree that I can mark out on a plot plan. I'm happy to do that.
So we expect you to have an engineer come and do a site plan for us and mark the location.
So the neighbor's tree, that's outside the wetland delineation. Would that fall under this?
Well, we're not sure if it's outside the wetland delineation or not, as we don't have a site plan. So a site plan is required to determine the scope of the wetlands and the buffer zone.
Okay, so yeah.
Hillary?
I guess I'm also curious to hear from the landscaper about what other work was done besides the tree and where.
Right. So he should feel free to weigh in on that as
No,
well.
we just cleared up. We cleaned up a bunch of pitch pines that were inside of the delineation of the fence line.
Okay, how many?
I don't know, maybe 15 to 20, 20 to 27. I don't really know exactly where you guys put your 50 buffer in. There might have been 3 trees, but
We have
you
a
know.
100-foot buffer as well, just to note.
Yep.
When I walked,
Yeah.
I did walk through with Alex through the 100-foot buffer. There was, I believe Alex noted there was one tree that he thought could be, but looked like it was outside the buffer zone. But it sounds like you're going to need an engineer plan just to kind of mark that up, which I don't see as an issue drawing that up.
Okay, and then there's so we'll need that, and we'll need you to detail for us in writing the work that was done to go along with the site plan. And we have to talk about what to do with the wood chip pile, because right now they're along the edge of the wetland and quite likely to wind up in the wetland if they haven't already. So we need to clean that up in a way that is
Well, we
protective
want to share
of the
those throughout the property. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
there was this, obviously the site plan isn't clear to you, but we were going to clean up every little bit of that. And it was not going to be left as a scar of the work that we did. It was going to be utilized throughout the property as a ground cover for the bedding of all their landscape. And we were going to create new bedding with new plantings to provide a privacy buffer for the road coming in instead of a ceramic fence.
Okay.
So it was just, in that nature and in that respect, if there's any specimens of trees that need to be utilized in that screen planting, we would probably want to exercise that as a effort to mitigate your concerns. But, in behalf to the property, there was years of dumping exactly where that pile of chips were, and we chipped that ahead of doing the tree work and thought that that was a proper spot to stage the chips ahead of doing our project, even though we ran in violation. It was a measure that we made.
Okay, so that means that there were years of dumping next to a wetland without
that don't have really any significance on our end.
No, but
You
this
know?
is not just you. This is also the property owner, and I
Well,
will
it's the
note.
neighbors too. I mean, everybody, you know.
Okay, but we're talking about what is done on this property, and in a minute I will talk to the neighbors who are at town hall as well and get their input, and then ask the commission to
I'm just gonna
join
let
in. But you did
really
work.
prefer to let
So
Jordy handle.
okay, but you are responsible for the work that you did and whether it complies with permitting requirements, and any impacts from that work is your responsibility. It's also the homeowner's responsibility.
Understood. I'm ready to do whatever you tell me to do.
Okay. So what we need you to do, since you did the work, we need you to detail what you did in writing, and hopefully so we can establish it in terms of what the site plan will indicate the resource areas are. But we also need to have those wood chips removed from the edges of the wetland in a safe manner, and have that done sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and I'm prepared to do that next week if we can.
Okay, so what I think we'll have the commission weigh in that this would be something that we'd like you to do in consultation with our agent, and not do any work without speaking to him first. Okay.
Yep.
And before I go to the commission, I'm going to ask.
Is Jordy okay with that? I mean, I just want to make sure. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, because we can otherwise do anyway. So Rusty Keith, you are the neighbor in question?
That's correct. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, we've got a nice echo. Are there multiple microphones?
How do I do that? Let me shut this down. I'm going to get rid of that.
Okay. Wayne, I just saw Wayne, so we should have that cleared up in a second. And we definitely want to hear from the neighbor about what they think is going on, and to have a solution that will address any concerns
Is the
that they have from any work.
neighbor's property within the wetland delineation?
I think when we were out there, it looked like it might be, but we can't tell until we have a site plan.
If it's not, I just didn't know the relevance to the Conservation Committee's meeting if it's not in the wetland delineation. I'm just more curious than anything.
Well, it appears to be in the delineation, and that there were also so we need to have that confirmed or unconfirmed, shall we say, from a site plan.
So I'm just confused. Sorry, I've never done this before. Just what's the relevance of the neighbors' feedback for the Wetlands Commission if we don't have confirmation that they're in the wetlands?
Well, we want to know what they saw happen, so we need to consider everything, and they're here tonight, and we're going to hear from them because we want to hear from them, and we believe that work was done on their property within the wetlands, and the information that you submit will confirm or will say that it's not. But until that time, it looked to us when we were out at the site that it appeared that the work was within the wetlands on their property as well.
It's always,
but we're
I don't know, it just makes me
we're
nervous.
asking for
Subjective opinions versus, matter of fact. I'm just curious. That's all. I just want to make sure I cover my bases.
Okay, but our site visit at this moment is based on our field experience and looking at MassMapper and other mapping and GIS resources. So until we get a site plan to confirm it, we're going on the assumption that what we saw is correct, and the site plan will either confirm that, or it will say that the work you did on your neighbors property is a matter between you and them and not us. But for
Yeah,
the
sure.
moment, it's a matter between you and us and your neighbor.
And I just want to be super clear. I mean, when I met Alex too, I'm super supportive of, hey, what do we need to do to help mitigate and address the issue? I mean, that's my intent was we should have stayed within the confines of the fence. That didn't happen for some reason. I wasn't there. How can I help to kind of solve that issue? And I'm happy to do that. Just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay, so we did note that there has never been a wetlands filing from your property.
I just purchased the
Ever.
property about a year and a half ago. I don't believe that's the case. Prior to my ownership, I'm not sure.
Well, you purchased the property 2024, so that actually resets the clock on any previous violations and gives us 3 years to look at them as well if they had any impact. So just to let you know that you inherit any violations with the land when you purchase it. So, okay, so I'm going to go back to Rusty there. If you could just identify yourself and where you live for the record.
Jordy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now you have to turn your mic on and we have to play musical mics here so we can understand everybody when they talk.
I'm Adrian.
I know. I want to talk to Rusty. So Adrian.
You mean Jordy?
No, I want to talk to Rusty, the neighbor.
Oh, all right. Yep. Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry.
so if his mic is on now. So can you hit the button on the mic to turn it on? Wayne, can you help us?
There we go. We should have
there we
it
got him.
now. Do you
There
hear
he
me
is.
now?
Yep.
There we go. If you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Rusty Keith, formerly Bradford Keith, and my wife Ann is also online. We are the owners of 1080 State Highway, which the property goes back and abuts the Seagrove. And we're just here because we want to make sure this plot plan includes the property line, because it's obvious that the Seagrove current owners don't understand where the property line is. There are pins out there, and we've looked at it, and we think that 100% of all of the logs and the wood chips and some of the trees that were cut, as well as the garbage that was are all dumped on our property. So we want to be involved in whatever remediation takes place there.
We know that we have the wetlands. We have a simple plot line and also have looked at the mass mappings on it. So when we were starting to do some work, we were very clear about what was there and the buffer and just clearing up. So we were staying far away.
Okay. So as I've been saying, that if once the site plan gets done, and we're asking that it include any work that was done that might be on your property as well, then we can make a determination whether any of the work was or was not done within our jurisdiction, and then move forward from that. And if it was on your property, then you certainly will be included in any discussions about restoration and mitigation.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
That sounds great to me. You're saying that the property line will be delineated as well as the wetlands on the plan.
Well, we need to see anywhere that work was done that might be within the wetlands jurisdiction. And if they did work on your property, that has to be included in any engineered plans that are presented to us, because they're responsible for work on their own property and any work they might have done on any other property that abuts.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the commission if they have any questions, comments, anything they want to say here.
No, this is Greg. Just it would be as good as soon as possible to see that site plan. Do we have any idea how long it will take to get it?
Jordy, you have any thoughts on how long?
Other recommended individuals or organizations you would typically work with to put a site plan together that I could look at and then get feedback from them in terms of how long to pull it together?
So
Or are
we
you
don't-
okay with me drawing that site plan up with the documents that are publicly available?
It has to be an engineered certified site plan, and we do not make recommendations for an engineer. But we were thinking that perhaps, given how busy engineers are on the Cape, that we might give you 3 months to do that. But that any clearing up of the piles of wood chips would have to occur soon. Within the, I don't
can
know.
take care of that next week or the week after.
How about next week?
Yeah. Yep.
So
We'll
so
get
we
on
could,
it.
Mhm. Hillary?
I just want to be clear that the removal of the wood chips is going to involve our office, so we can talk about the technique and the methodology that you're going to use and where you're going to place them.
Yeah, well, we're first gonna install landscape beds around the property and use that as a ground cover, and then if there is any material left over, it will be trucked off site. And then we were gonna do a fall cleanup, and basically, as the scarred land would be revealed from the removal of the chips, we would just take the leaf matter from the cleanup and just leave it gently on top of the surface as nature dropped their leaves, and let that rejuvenate as
Okay.
it will, as we all know.
Okay, you cannot put anything along the wetlands without permission. So if you're taking anything out, you cannot put anything back without a permit.
Right. But I'm not putting back anything that would be invasive to your natural
You can't-
resource.
Okay, you have a stop work order on the property. We're gonna ask you to move the wood chips, but you cannot put anything else to replace them at all.
You want raw dirt.
Without discussion with the conservation agent, but any work in the wetlands does require a permit.
Right. Well, we'll get rid of the chips then, just as you are. That's fine.
Okay, so
No problem. No problem.
so
If
let's
we have
see.
to revisit after that, I'm ready to comply. So whatever you want
Okay.
to do, I will do it.
Well,
Madam
there'll be
Chair,
a-
can
oh,
you
there'll be
hear
a
me?
lot. Who is this?
Oh, yeah. I'm making
Okay.
sure you can still hear me. Yeah.
Yes.
In addition to the wood chips, there are multiple logs, pine logs that were dumped on the opposite
No,
side
we're
of
gonna
those
get
wood
rid of
chips.
everything. We'll get
Well,
rid of
right
all
now-
that.
I think
Everything's gonna
right-
be gone.
Okay, right now we're just concerned about the wood chips.
No, tell Frank I'm gonna get rid of everything.
Well, right
I'll
now
get rid of the
we are.
log.
Let me repeat that.
There's some
We are.
logs that
We
need to
are.
go.
We are concerned, Adrian, with the wood chips. Right now, there's a stop work
Okay.
order on the property for the wetlands, so we are concerned about the wood chips and getting
Okay.
that taken care of
Alright.
because that is a imminent threat to the
Well, at
wetlands.
least, yeah.
So
At least
we
we're
want
not
you.
dealing
We
with
want you to
anything like-
do. We don't want you to do more than we
Do
are
anything-
telling you
anything more?
to do. Okay, we want you to
Okay.
do only what we
Well,
are
just let-
asking
Make sure
you to do.
make sure my
Yes.
abutters know that we are willing to work with them and take care of everything.
Okay, this is
So,
they.
as
Okay.
time goes on,
Okay, but this is going to be a process.
just to be fair.
Okay, this is going to be a
Yeah,
process.
I
It's
understand
going to
it's
take.
gonna be a process.
Okay, so
But
right
you don't
now
want me to consolidate the logs into a neat pile?
we want you to do only what we're asking you to do, so that we don't wind up with any additional issues. Hillary, you
Okay.
want to jump in here as well?
I just don't understand.
Okay, Adrian, can you just hold tight for 1 second here? I'm going to recommend that Alex and I meet you and Gordy on the site, and we can review with you exactly what we want done. If we get out there
You got
and
it.
that these logs are detrimental to the wetland resource, and we can understand collaboratively how you're going to remove them by hand without bringing machinery in, then we could maybe get behind removing them. But what we
Well,
really
they're gonna
need-
be, I mean, they would
No,
be
no,
extracted
no,
from
I
a
don't want to
cherry
hear
picker.
about it now. Adrian, I don't want to hear now.
Hillary
I
is
wanna
speaking,
talk
so
about it
you
on-
need to listen to her.
Oh, I
She
see.
has the floor.
Yeah.
I want us to talk about it on site while we're looking at it. And I want us to have some type of a site plan in our hands. It's not going to be an up-to-date one, but we must have an old one in the file. And then we can
You got it.
show you where the wetland buffer zone is so that you understand the area that we're concerned about. So no work,
Sure.
no removal of anything until Alex and I can meet you on the site.
Can we do that on Monday?
I don't know if we can do it on Monday, but why don't you call the office tomorrow and we can schedule a time?
Okay, that works.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of the site plan, 3 months would put us into March.
Well, I
So
could devise the site plan, can't I?
we need a professional engineer to do a certified site plan. We're going to put this in an order for you so that you will understand all of the conditions and you'll get it in writing. And 3 months would put us into March. So what do you think, Hillary? The first meeting in March or the second meeting in March?
I would go with the second meeting in March because I think a lot of these guys are going to take vacation and the holidays are falling in there also.
Okay, so we need to have the site plan for the second meeting in March, which is March 24th, and it needs to be submitted by the deadline for the March 24th meeting so that we have a chance to review it before the meeting. So that will all be included in the written enforcement order that we're going to give to you. Okay,
Very good.
so March 20, okay. 24th, you're going to meet with Alex and you're going to call the office tomorrow and arrange to meet with Alex and Hillary in order to get the wood chips and whatever they decide is appropriate.
We're okay to share those across the property in the landscape beds, correct?
You're going to not do anything until you talk with Alex and Hillary on site.
No, for the wood chips.
You're not going to do anything until you talk with Alex and Hillary on site.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Okay. So we're looking at the March 24th meeting that we're looking to have the wood chips removed.
What about irrigation system around the building that's not inside the wetland?
If it's not inside the wetland and not close to being inside of the wetland because we do not have a site plan, then that
So
is
we're
not our
okay to-
concern.
We're okay to update that and put down topsoil and do seeding and stuff like that.
Hillary, you want to just take a turn here?
I don't think you should do any work until we meet on site and can show you where the wetland buffer zone is. I don't know if you have an understanding of that or not, and so I would not want you to do something that would create an additional violation. So
I don't want to do that neither.
So
And there
then
is
just
But I just want to. But I do
there
want
is
to
a
proceed
stop
with
work
work.
order on the property for the
Oh, it's on the whole property.
for the wetlands areas.
Yeah,
So
for the
we
wetlands.
just want you to be really, really careful so that you don't create any more issues. So
Exactly. But
and
I
we're
know where
telling-
that. I kind of, if I was
No.
to stay far away from that, coming around,
we are
could get plantings.
suggesting. Okay, we are suggesting.
Well, I'm
very,
gonna try.
very,
Yeah, I'll try to get that done next week. So let's just push
okay,
for that.
Let me say this again. We are suggesting very, very strongly that you do not do any more work on the property until you meet with Alex and Hillary on the property.
Wonderful.
And that will
Can you-
avoid any additional problems that might arise because you are unclear of where you are allowed to work and where you are
Understood.
not allowed to work.
Understood. Understood.
Okay. And
Does Hillary have my information to get in touch with me? We could kind of just.
Hey, Adrian, Jordan here. I'm going to go ahead and coordinate between Hillary and you. I'll take the lead on that, and then I'll coordinate with the town. I think we're good for now, Adrian. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem, bud.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit here to make this formal. So today is the 9th. We were talking about having the wood chips removed soon. were we talking about by the end of next week, or do we want it, Hillary? You need a little more time to meet?
Yeah, I think if you could give Alex and I the flexibility to work with Gordy and Adrian, I think that would be useful. I think we just need to have a face-to-face discussion about what can and can't be done and how to do it.
Okay, we just want to put this in writing, though, as an enforcement
Yeah,
order, I think.
I would say it would be done within 30 days at the latest.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what we have here now, and I'll spell it all out, and then we can have a motion and so on. So we would like to direct Alex and Hillary to prepare, or Alex or Hillary to prepare an enforcement notification, enforcement action letter that will sum up the conversation we just had, and with provisions that the wood chips shall be removed within 30 days. And today is December 9th, so 30 days would be January 9th. So the wood chips would be removed by January 9th with nothing to be touched until there is a on-site consultation with Alex and Hillary. And they will determine what it is safe to move and discuss the proper locations for them to be removed to outside of the wetlands jurisdiction. At the same time, the property owner shall contract for an engineered site plan of the property, and that shall include any work that might have been done on the abutter's property or near the property line, and that shall be done within 30 days, which puts, and shall be filed with the Conservation Office in order for us to consider at the March 24th, 2026 Conservation Commission meeting. Hillary, you and Alex can insert the deadline in the letter. And we will note that failure to comply may result in further enforcement action. And if that is okay with the commission, if somebody, did I cover it all, Hillary?
Yes.
Well, I think you said 30 days. You said 30 days to comply with the neighboring property. And
no, I said 30 days. I will repeat myself. I said 30 days after, with including consultations with Alex and Hillary, to move the wood chips and any other things such as logs that out of the wetland area safely. So that's 30 days. That's by January 9th. That an engineered site plan that includes the property line and any work that might have been done on the neighbor's property will be done by a certified engineer. It will be a signed and stamped engineered site plan that includes all of the resource areas, and that will be delivered to the Conservation Department, the conservation agent, by the deadline for the March 24th Conservation Commission meeting, so that we can discuss it, and you and Adrian shall appear at that meeting as well to discuss it with us. And this you will get in writing as an enforcement order. Okay. And if that is okay with the commission, can we have a motion to execute this, to direct Alex and or Hillary to prepare such a letter and transmit it to the applicant, to the property owner and the landscaper, and might as well send a copy to the neighbors as well.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Cinnamon?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Okay. We are done. You're going to call Hillary tomorrow to discuss further actions. And we will see you in the future.
Karen, if I may?
Thank you. Yes.
I just had one extra question. Sorry, one last question. the abutting neighbor's property. Is it possible to get a copy of the plans? I know they took down 40 some odd, 50 some odd trees that were coming up to our property line. Is it possible to get a copy of that plan to reference with the engineer that I'll be working with?
You should speak to them about that.
It also would be a matter of public record. If you come in and give us the address you're looking for, we can see what's in the file.
Awesome.
So
Thank you very
when
much.
you come in, we'll search for something.
Yeah, that assuming that this was something within the wetlands jurisdiction and they filed for that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to be
Yes.
able to delineate if they had done work on our property, likewise in reverse. Thank
Okay.
you, Hillary. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Can I go to sleep now?
Okay, so next we're moving on to liaison reports. Anybody? The Open Space Committee will be meeting next Wednesday. The Strategic Planning Committee met yesterday, but I did not attend the meeting, so I have no reports. Greg, anything additional from the Forest Committee?
No, nothing new to report. There is a meeting in January to discuss spring plantings.
Okay, and Janet, I know you had a
Yes.
meeting recently.
The CPAC group met on Wednesday, but I was not present. So I will have to find out what they discussed and then present that to the commission at a later date.
Okay.
I don't know if this is appropriate, but if as the liaisons, if you're ever unable to make a meeting, I'm happy to attend for you.
You
So
can't. Oh,
no.
Thank you.
okay. That would be an unofficial attendance.
Okay.
Janet can watch the meeting video later to catch up as well, but we unfortunately can't substitute in one commissioner for another as this is an
Gotcha.
appointed position. Okay, let's see, education and training updates. There is a lunch and learn next week. There is a lunch and learn this week, tomorrow, on healthy soil through maximum biodiversity, farmscape models for resilient design. And you can find out more about that on the MACC website. Registration is required. And let's see, that's all I have for that and other discussion. Okay, so you all did receive today from Alex a copy of the injunction that was issued on 150. What, you want to speak to it?
I'm asking if you'd like me to speak on it.
Yes, what I was just introducing it and I was going to ask you. So go ahead.
Okay.
And I will take a breath.
Yeah, perfect. So Alex and I started our week last week on Tuesday at the district court because Mr. Vecchione had filed something at the district court and sent us a long email about what he planned on doing and summoning all of you to come and attend this hearing. So Alex and I went to the district court and we sat there. And lo and behold, he decided right before the hearing that he wasn't going to go forward with it. And his matter was ADA compliance and how that applied to him and his issues in the district court. So that didn't go forward. Then on Thursday, we met at Superior Court with Alex Weisheit, myself, Susan Barker, the health agent, and Alex to discuss the failure to submit an application to modify the fence like we had agreed upon at our prior Superior Court hearing. And there was a settlement agreement at that time where Gary agreed to submit the proper application and the proper filing materials and modify the fence like we had asked so many months ago. He failed to comply with that because he claimed that the internet was broken or the server was down and he could not get the application and we could not give him a paper copy, which hindered his ability to do so. That being said, he did not show up at Superior Court for that hearing. And so the judge heard from Alex and issued the preliminary injunction and was assessing fines or fees that should also be levied against Mr. Vecchione for his failure to comply. So as you saw in the injunction document, he will be issued $300 a day for not complying with the fence and not removing the gangway, 2 separate offenses at $300 each a day until he can comply. There are time limits for his compliance and time limits for us to go out and inspect. So that was sent to him. He claimed that he was unaware of the hearing date, although it was in the settlement agreement that he signed at the prior hearing. So it's been very difficult, needless to say, and it's uncomfortable, but we're hopeful that we will gain compliance either through Mr. Vecchione or through a new owner. The property is up for auction on Thursday. And when I took a look today, it seems that the auction is still on and going on Thursday. So we shall see what happens.
Okay, so there is still an open matter of the larger U-shaped dock that is still in the water despite the time of year restrictions that requires it to be out by November 15th. And because it is a dock that was not permitted by the Conservation Commission, they do not have a permit to actually remove it from the water. Alex sent Gary a letter in August that detailed the need to file for this and the other dock that is in violation that was covered under the injunction. This was not covered under the injunction because at the time it was filed, it was not yet in a violation status, and now it is. So it seems like that we need to issue an enforcement order to require, as Gary did not respond to the August letter and has not submitted anything, that we have to issue we should issue, if you agree, an enforcement order to require him to submit an application to say that would describe how to safely remove the dock and where it will be stored on the property in order to permit the dock to be removed, and that we should set a deadline for that filing. And that needs to be done, even though our experience suggests that it might not bear any fruit.
Yeah,
And
I think we have to be consistent in our approach. And so to go 2 steps forward without starting at step 1, I prefer we follow the regular path that we follow for all violations. So I think at this point, he needs an enforcement order to be ordered to submit an application to detail how he plans to remove the U-shaped dock and where he plans to store it on his property.
okay, I want to additionally note that in our dock hearings on notice of intent for dock, the DMF has consistently had time of year restrictions for any work in January and February due to the winter flounder population. So any work on removing this dock probably should take that into consideration as well. But that doesn't impact the need for him to actually file. And it should be filed as a response to an enforcement action, and so that we can set time limits on it and not through the regular permitting process. So if you are all in agreement here, or if you have any questions or comments, we need to figure out a deadline for him to file by. And it should be short, because he's had opportunities already here.
I think
Any
just for
suggestions?
consistency, I would suggest the standard 30 days. Just put him on the 30-day clock.
30 days. So by January 9th, which is not in time to consider it for the January 13th meeting. So then we wouldn't consider it till the January 27th meeting. But let's give him the 9th because that puts it far enough in advance so we can, I don't know. What do you think? But the letter's not going to go out tomorrow.
It could go out by the end of the week. I don't, you know.
Okay, so January 9th?
I like January 9th.
Okay. So if we would like to do this, we should have a motion to instruct Hillary and or Alex to prepare such letter on our behalf and transmit it to the to Gary as following the procedures as required to do so.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Chuck?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. And okay. I will ask if anybody has anything else they want to say at this meeting. I will say that you guys did an excellent job all year long, that you absolutely deserve having a break until January 13th. And that it's been a really great working with you all. And I wish you all some happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen.
Likewise.
You
to
deserve it
everyone.
too.
Happy holidays.
And if we could have a motion to adjourn until next year.
Move to adjourn until next year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Greg?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. And okay. Good night, everybody.
Happy
Good night,
holidays.
everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Happy holidays, Wayne.
Around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new order.